wanted to use really short.
For CP Insider, I'm Stephanie Samuel, and I'm here with pro-life activist and author Alveda King. She has a wonderful new book out called King Rules, and we're going to talk a little bit about this book. Thank you, Alveda King, for being here.
Hi, Stephanie. Stephanie, you know you're such a pretty young lady. It's good to join you today. Thank you.
Thank you. So, what led you to write this book?
Stephanie, people like you led me to write that book. And when I'm interviewed often, when I'm speaking around the world and in America, people say, "Did you know Martin Luther King Jr.?" Yes, I did. What was it like to grow up around him? And I would tell them, but I said, Martin Luther King Jr. is and was who he is because he had a family that loved God and served God. And so I came up with 10 how-tos that Martin Luther King Jr. knew, my father, his brother, Reverend A.D. King, my granddaddy, Daddy King, Mama King. So these 10 rules are King family legacy rules that will help all of us to live a joyful life.
You know, one of my favorite things about this book is that it takes us into some things that we didn't really know about Martin Luther King and your family. And one of the things you talked about was how they set the standard in terms of roles in marriage. Talk a little bit about that.
When we talk about roles in marriage, roles in family, roles in the home, for instance, if you were to go to the King family birth home in Atlanta, Georgia, it's a historic site right now. There's a dining room with the table set for dinner. And in Martin Luther King Jr.'s family, A.D. King, my daddy, they had dinner together. If their dad was in the city, there was no dinner until dad came home. And dad and mom and the family sat there. Granddaddy would say, "We have to have a Bible verse before every meal." Now, when they were little boys, Uncle M.L. and Daddy, who they called A.D., wanted to say Jesus wept because they wanted to eat. And so Granddaddy says he did, but why did he weep? And so they had those kinds of conversations. The same thing happened, and if you go to the website, King Rules, R-U-L-E-S, kingrulesbook.com, you'll see a lot of wedding pictures because our family, you'll see pictures with the family, with the children. One of them may even have the family dog, I think, in it. But we were a family. We got married. So you fall in love, you get married, then you have children. Today, that's out of order. People have children. I had to raise children as a single divorced woman. That was a very hard thing to do. That's not ideal. And so we need special prayer for those situations. We believed in marriage between one man and one woman. And they got married. They stayed in a committed relationship. They raised children in a joyful environment. And so that was the way Martin Luther King Jr. grew up, A.D. King, Christine King Ferris, Alveda King. That's the way we grew up. And that's what I write about in the book.
Wow. And one of the things you mentioned is that you have a new hope that the new generation is more committed to sexual purity. Tell me a little bit of what shows you the signs that they are committed to sexual purity.
Born in 1951 and moving forward there to Generation X. Everything was about material, sex, money, big cars, big houses. And then Generation Y says, well, that's not really working. Everybody can't get all of that. So why should we care about anything? Things are hopeless anyway. And then Generation Z says, oh, it's not lost. If you all tell us about the mistakes you made and how we don't have to make them, things can get better. So you can get someone as old as I am. I'm right at 64 years old. And someone as young as, say, you are. And we can work together to learn from my mistakes, to help you, and for me to encourage, not compete with Z, but to help Z. And after Z, and that's Omega, we go all the way back to a new alpha, a new day, a new beginning. So here we are in the 21st century, and we know that the ZBs, I call them, and if the baby boomers, the X's and the Y's and the Z's can all work together for a better day, this can help our whole nation, it can help the world. And serving the needy, helping the needy. And people don't only need money. Sometimes people need a hug. Sometimes people need advice. Sometimes everybody needs love. That's the beloved community. That's one of the rules there. So if we can take faith, hope, and love and use all of those rules about home, family, romance, money, economics, education. They're all there. That's a how to book with 10 rules and some tweets that will help everybody to live a better, more blessed, and joyful life.
Thank you, Alveda, for this interview. And again, her book's name is called King's Rules. It comes out June 10th. For CP Insider, I'm Stephanie Samuel.